Confused about how to plan for your retirement? Shawn Maloney is here to help. Shawn has created the Retire Happy framework that considers more than just how much you should save. Getting information and tools to preserve your financial future is minutes away. Welcome to the Priority of Retirement with your host, Shawn Maloney.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Priority of Retirement, where we delve into all aspects of retirement planning for a happy retirement. Today we have Dominic Rubino. Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough.
Close enough. All right. He's a serial entrepreneur, a devoted husband and father. You might know him as the host of Profit Tool Belt and Cabinet Maker Profit Systems, where he shares his invaluable lessons and practical tips from top to bottom thought leaders in various industries. What sets Dominic apart is his real life approach. With over 23 years of business coaching and 25 years of entrepreneurial, he brings stories and experience from across several industries. Whether you're just starting or looking to level up your business, Dominic's been there, done that. He's got wisdom to help you get focused and succeed. So Dominic, we help. So happy to have you on here today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So folks, we have, as listeners probably have come to accustomed now, we have a wide range of different listeners and in our podcast, but as well as guests. And Dominic brings some unique insights here as an entrepreneur. We have a lot of business owners that listen and that we help out. So we're looking forward to getting your perspectives here and kind of talking through a few things. So glad to have you on, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So Dominic, before we dive in, just give us a little backstory on you, a little bio about yourself.
Well, I started as a corporate guy and I always wanted to be in business for myself. My first business was actually way back in college. I installed Christmas lights on homes.
There you go. 'Tis the season.
Tis the season right now. Yeah. And it was called, I always like to have fun. It was called the Yo Ho Ho Light Co.
There you go.
And to be honest, I should be dead. I was a high school kid with a stapler and my dad's ladder on a Toyota pickup truck. If you think to Back to the Future, that Toyota that came with the roll bar, that was how the ladder was on the top. And I probably should have died because I'm up in the Pacific Northwest. So, electric lights and staple guns and cedar roofs. There's no reason I'm here, but I love being in business for myself. And so even though I went to corporate for many years, I was in telecom, then I came back to business ownership.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you have quite a resume. It sounds like you have a lot of background stories and experience. So one thing that kind of caught my eye a little bit is you likened time management to brushing your dog. Okay?
Yeah,
that kind of caught my eye a little bit. Can you explain that a little bit about how people, business owners or really anybody, about managing time and brushing their dog? How's that relate?
Yeah, time management is one of the biggest issues. For all of us, we've got young kid. I guess they're not young now. Last night, my son turned 16, my daughter's 19, but really all we are is Uber drivers getting them to games and practices.
Exactly. But you don't get paid for that though. So.
We don't get paid for that. No, same thing with going to pick up food for them. But, if it's sushi night, but the time management is so hard. And the analogy that I came to after thinking about it and working with clients for years on this is that it's just like brushing your dog. Do you have a dog?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So what's his name or her name?
Gracie.
Okay. So you go and brush Gracie because you're waiting for something to happen, right? And Gracie's all happy. She's like, "Oh, Shawn, you're the best," or "Master, you're the best." And then, maybe to spend 10 minutes, then you go to the kitchen to get a cup of water and, Gracie's happy now. So she comes and rubs up against your leg and you look down, you're like, "I just brushed you and there's more hair on my leg." And that's the challenge with time management is we think we do it once and we're done and we're not. It's constant. It is constant. And what happens with time is if I don't manage my time, I let other people manage it for me. And that's the mistake that a lot of business owners get caught in. A lot of people get caught in.
Sure.
If I don't manage my time, somebody else will. So I have to constantly be working at it.
No, that's fantastic. And I know that struggle is real. And for all the business owners out there, you get pulled in so many different directions, before you know it, the day and the week is gone. And that handy dandy little to-do list that you had, doesn't have enough check marks on it.
Yeah, it got to don't done list.
Exactly.
Right. So time management and prioritization, especially for business owners, it's a lot about discipline. People often think that entrepreneurialism or being a business owner is, you're the master of your own destiny. Well, you've got to be meaner to yourself than anybody else ever would be. ever would be, because
Yep.
it requires a lot of discipline and systems and, just stick-to-itiveness.
100%. And it's funny because you made the comment about, when you're a business owner and you think you just, you control everything and it's your destiny, it's your freedom and whatnot, but you get pulled in so many directions and it's all on you. And so that discipline, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's critical, or you just end up getting lost in the shuffle and then you don't get anything that way.
You got nothing done. But yeah, you got nothing done.
You just go into the circles.
Yeah,
exactly. I love it. Well, you mentioned something else that caught our eye a little bit, about building strong teams, and I'm a big advocate on matching the right personalities to the company's culture and your culture and whatnot. It just makes for big teams. But you said winners brighten a room by entering. So how do you approach recruiting, training, and fostering that kind of culture?
Yeah. So we should, Shawn, we should say the whole sentence. Winners brighten a room by entering it.
Right.
And losers brighten a room by leaving.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Right. And it really is critical. And, for people that work in a corporate environment, sometimes you're stuck. You've got people around you who are just negative all the time. There's a dark cloud following them all the time. But when you run your own business, it's more important for us as owners to craft that environment around us to make it the right kind of team going forward. Just like, I don't know if you do fantasy football, but you craft that team, right?
Yeah.
Craft it. And sometimes you've got to move players around, or sometimes you got to move players off. That just is what it is. And usually because I made the wrong decision picking that guy.
Right.
He didn't do anything different. He's just being who he is.
Yep.
It's the same thing in business ownership. And so we look for attitude as the driver for the success of the team. And here's the hard part, Shawn. I'm the first problem. If my attitude is off, theirs is going to be off.
Sure.
And so this comes from a gentleman, very wise gentleman named Vern Harnish, who wrote a great book called Scaling Up. Actually, you can see it behind my shoulder here.
Yeah.
As goes the leader, so goes the team.
Yeah.
Right. Or I think there's a Turkish saying, a fish stinks from the head down.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't say it in Turkish there. I just said it. But a fish stinks from the head down. If you think about a fish skeleton just laying there on the ground, where does the stink come from? Not the skeleton bones. It comes from that head.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. The leader is responsible for guiding how that attitude in the company is going to be.
Yeah. Attitude is contagious, for sure. And I love that, because attitude drives so many things of how people interpret and process. I really believe it, attitude, it really begins with attitude.
Yeah. Do you mind if I give people a book reference? It's not one of my books, by the way.
Oh, go for it, brother.
So if people really care about attitude and changing the attitude inside their company, or making sure that their attitude is on point, there's a book called The Oz Principle. It's a really good book. And it talks about, people who are above the line and below the line, people who take ownership and responsibility and have some sort of vision, versus the kind of people who place blame, make excuses, they're negative, they're in denial. Right. It's not called the book about your mother-in-law. It's called The Oz Principle. I'm not saying your mother-in-law, Shawn. I'm just saying in general. But it actually comes from a very boring study out of the University of Melbourne in Australia called the Internal and External Locus of Control. And I'm going to stop being a dorky, geeky business coach right now. Read The Oz Principle if you want to get just tips on making sure that your team is crafted to that right attitude.
No, that's great. Appreciate that. One thing we talk about with when it relates to retirement side of things, and we're our catchphrase and our whole mantra is retire happy, right? Yeah. And we want you to retire happy, but one of the things, and it goes beyond the financials. So the reason I bring that up is because one of the biggest things about what fulfills people is to have not only have a sense of purpose, but surround yourself with friends and those relationships, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And the relationship side of things, and an attitude makes me think of that, right? Because if you're, whether you're at work or no matter what you're doing, if you're in retirement, if you don't have the same kind of mindset people, or people that have bad attitudes, it's going to make it harder to have a happy retirement or a happy work environment. It all plays together, and attitude is just so critical.
It is everything. It's everything. And if anybody's got more than one kid, you recognize that they were just born the way they are. Some have a little gloom to them and some have a ray of sunshine to them. Same situation. And how do I don't know what to do about that, but I do know that when I'm crafting a team, we're going to choose people with the right attitude. And as soon as they don't have the right attitude, I've got to go back and find a way to get them on board, or unfortunately, they're just not going to be part of my team anymore.
Yeah. And sometimes that's okay. You got to do it for the benefit of the overall
Yeah.
team, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately that person's not going to be happy either if they're not a fit, right? So
no, they're going to be there. Well, I was just down in Branson at a fencing conference.
yeah.
Not the Olympic, like like the Three Musketeers type stuff.
I was gonna say, you're really broadening your horizons here, brother.
Yeah. No, fence contractors, fantastic group of people. And anyways, they said, if you put a jackass in, am I allowed to say jackass?
You're fine.
I'm using the animal. If you put a jackass in with a bunch of Mustangs, all the Mustangs know it.
Right.
You put a Mustang in with a bunch of jackasses, the Mustang knows it.
True.
Right. And so, but the Mustang will leave, the jackass probably won't.
Right.
And so it's really on me as a leader to make sure I craft that team.
Yep. I mean, that's wise advice, for really every aspect of life, really, you know what I mean? And then sometimes even when in your friend circles, you got to know when to cut bait, what's healthy, what's not.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen that? Your kid comes home with a new friend and that they leave to go do whatever. And you're like, I don't like that kid.
Yeah, that's not right.
And then after your son or daughter comes home, you're like, so let's talk about hanging out with different people.
Right. And of course, they know better and they have the attitude. So
yep. Yeah.
Well, switching gears just a little bit, a lot of business owners, obviously everybody's worried about and focusing in on money. They find themselves busy, but still losing money. Right. And you've made some comments around profit leaks and stuff. How can they identify profit leaks and take a step toward that profitability? What are some insights you may have there?
Yeah. So there's, especially in the construction business, which is where I focus, there's 8 profit leaks. And those profit leaks are a lot like getting scratched by your cat. Have you ever tried to give your cat a pill? It needs the pill, but your sweet little kitty cat suddenly rips apart your forearm and you look down, you're like, I might die. Like look, how did it do that? But that's death by 1,000 cuts. And that's what we can suffer from as business owners, right? So we have to go and find those leaks and then fix them. And I take a very forward-facing approach. We're going to hunt the leaks and then we're going to fix them. And then with full confidence that I just fixed one, there's going to be another one. Yep. So going through and knowing what those leaks are and fixing them, putting simple systems in place to track them is the most important thing. And I mean, this just sounds so simple, but I have to know my numbers.
Yeah.
The challenge is we think we're talking to the accountant and you're not. You're talking to me. I'm the entrepreneur, the business owner. I'm talking about operational numbers. There's a couple of key numbers off your P&L and your balance sheet that we need to know, but it's a 90-10 split. Right. I need to know all the operations numbers that feed into the balance sheet and the profit and loss. And that's how you watch for those profit leaks and you make the money you need to.
Good advice. One thing that obviously we could talk on that for hours on end. That's a near and dear topic for a lot of people. So I know you have some different resources and books and whatnot that you talk about it. And of course, you being a consultant, work with people a lot on that. But one thing that people as business owners, and it's dear to us as far as what we do when we're working with people in retirement. You develop this grow it, sell it, or keep it for cash flow blueprint, right?
Yes, that's right.
And part of that really intrigues me, and I'm interested in all that. But how business owners can decide the best growth strategies, but also look at an eye toward exit strategy, right? Mm-hmm. We talked to a lot of different business owners, and they're trying to find that right time first of all, how do they build an exit strategy, and then the right time to get out. And they come to us and start talking about, what that looks like for their retirement, because it's just totally different for business owners versus someone in the corporate world,
right?
That has a 401k and all those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Just whatever comes by. Tell us a little bit about that blueprint.
Yeah. So this might be something that you say, because we're talking here about retirement in general and getting ourselves ready for that next phase in life. Yep. But I think it would be silly if I came to you at 54 saying I want to retire at 55. What should I start doing? Right. I mean, you could do it, but you're going to have different results. So it's about being proactive, and speaking of proactive, we're approaching the end of the year as we record this now. So we're starting to see the end of year financials come in from our clients. There's a client we've been working with for a couple of years now. But when we first started, he was around $1 million in sales, which in itself is fantastic. It's hard to get there.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't pulling any money. He wasn't even pulling a salary. Sometimes if a project went well, he'd take a little extra, but he was not really getting by.
Right.
You dial it forward a couple of years. Last year, his net profit, so his EBITDA, as we call it, was around 200 grand, and he was doing great. This year, it's almost 900 grand.
Wow.
Now, the reason I say that is because he now has a business that's buyable.
Right.
So people think, oh, I want to sell my business one day. I'm a big shot. Anybody's going to come in here and buy it. No, they're not. Not if your business isn't buyable.
Sure.
It's got to be something somebody else wants. Why would they buy a job with all the headaches, with all the time you've spent away from your family, not, brushing your dog?
Right.
Why would they buy a problem? They can make their own problems.
Sure.
So, and my son, as I said, just turned 16 yesterday.
Stay off the roads, man.
What's that? Sorry?
Stay off the roads, man.
Stay off the roads. Right. Well, that was the analogy I was going to use. Is now, he's thinking about a car. We've been thinking about it for a while. That as parents, do we want him to get a broken down jalopy of a car? The brakes are questionable. The things don't work. It's all rattling. No, I want my son to be in a safe vehicle. My daughter's already in a safe vehicle. It's the same thing with if I want to pass that business on to my kids. Why do I want to give them a broken jalopy of a business?
Right.
I have to start that planning in advance to make that happen. And I'm sure that's what you do in your retirement planning. You just have to start thinking about it.
100%. And of course, a lot of people, when you're thinking about retirement planning, unfortunately, a lot of people wait quite a while, and life happens. We get it. It's a lot of people have good intentions, and you start building that extra strategy, or you start saving for retirement when you're younger. Life happens, and then you kind of stop that process or saving or whatnot. And then you get to that, oh crap moment in life, where your last kid either graduates high school or college, or you have your first grandbaby or whatever it is. And you go, oh man, we got to really start thinking about us and what our future looks like. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't want to say it's never too late, but everybody needs a plan, whether you're a business owner with an exit strategy or just an average Joe working in a corporate job, or a manager or whatever it is, you need a plan. Right.
That's right.
And that starts earlier. And for business owners out there, even when you first start your business, you're in gear up mode, sure. But ultimately, what are you doing, right? You're trying to build your business. So ultimately, the whole time you're building an exit strategy. So why not be thinking about that from the beginning?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
To your point, build something that's sellable.
Yeah, buyable.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sellable and buyable.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you get creative on the retirement thing. You're like, well, I've got enough to retire if I move to Guam. right. Or somewhere else. But there's, there's pros and cons to all of those things. If you want to be near family, if you've got a certain lifestyle, if you have medical needs that your family needs, which happens as we age, then we've got to,
yeah,
life for that.
It's not while retirement planning doesn't have to be complicated, your exit strategy doesn't have to be complicated, but it make it easier on yourself and start earlier. Yeah. If you wait too long, it is more cumbersome, and it has a few little more speed bumps, when you wait too long to get there. For sure. Yeah. But the key is, two things: starting earlier and having a plan, or in consulting with people that have been there, done that. There's no reason to take it on by yourself. There's a lot of experts that can help out in these areas.
Yeah. I would imagine that anybody that's listening to this show, even if they're just listening and haven't taken action, you have to go find this show.
Right.
Right. And so that's a proactive mindset. That all, let me put it this way. Everybody was invited to listen to your podcast.
Right.
Only a few chose to stand up and take action and do that.
Yep.
And so you're already in pretty rare air if you're out there listening to this or watching it. And so just take the next step, whatever it is. Call your advisor or call Shawn. Like, take whatever step you need to next. But it's taking those steps that gets you there. But you have to remember, just by virtue of the fact that you're here, it means you think differently than everybody else.
Yeah, good point. No, that's a great point. Yep. So one thing that I saw and that caught me as well is what is your advice to business owners that want to shift from just selling products to becoming problem solvers? Because there's a big difference, right? And some of it's related to service-related fields versus product-related fields and whatnot, but being a problem solver for their clients.
We get paid to solve problems. That's what business owners do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're cleaning carpets or doing roofs or building kitchen cabinets or financial products.
Yep.
We're here to solve problems, and the bigger the problems we solve, it tends to be the bigger the returns that we get. The more people we can help, the more returns we get. There's a saying that I use with some of the people on my team, and they know now when I start a story with this, they know what's coming, right?
Yep.
And I'll say, Shawn, you know how the best surfers ride the biggest waves? And you can see them. They're like, oh, here it comes. Like, I got a major project for you. But the reason I'm asking you is because you're the best surfer, and I know you can ride that biggest wave, right?
Yeah,
and it's the same thing, right? Only the best cowboys ride the meanest broncs. Like,
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And you have to put that in perspective. So that's what
No, I like it. Like it.
Yeah.
So what about you? I always like to hear, of course, it's what we do for a living. What does your retirement look like, right? What's going to fulfill you in retirement? What's your goals? What's your plans for retirement?
Yeah. So I married the right girl. So let me say that first. I think that was one of my first decisions. Just fantastic. I fell in love with her like the minute I met her. And it was hard to not tell her that because that sounds psycho. Right? But we have different plans for retirement. Her idea of retirement is for us to garden together. Yep. My idea for retirement is to watch our gardener work. So we've got a little bit of a different take on things, but either way, her and I love to travel, and we've got kids. My son's looking at colleges right now for lacrosse. So There's going to be a lot of travel for his lacrosse to go back and forth. My daughter's a competitive swimmer, but she's 19 now, so she's not swimming as much. So it's really about family. We are where we live, and where we live is who we are. Yeah. And we happen to be on the West Coast, so you could sell your house, but you're not going to buy another one afterwards. It's pretty expensive here. Right. But that, those plans all revolve around being just being there for our family, and then making sure we can continue to provide for them as we go. I don't mind telling you, it's going to be very hard for me to retire.
Sure.
Only because I'm probably the luckiest guy in the world. I'm doing exactly what I was put on this earth to do. And I would never change. Yeah, I absolutely love being a business coach and an entrepreneur, because I don't just talk about it. I build and sell my own businesses as well. And yeah, I'm probably going to keep going.
Well, that's a valid point. I mean, so retirement looks different for everybody, right? Yeah. And everybody's definition of retirement is different. Whether you're a person that's going to travel the world or sit on your couch and watch streaming services all day, whatever makes you happy, right? It's whatever's going to make whatever your journey looks like. It's not a one size fits all kind of plan, and you got to. My point is that you really have to define what your retirement why is. What do you want to do in retirement? What's your purpose? Whether it's continuing to do what you do, or maybe you're in a job or your business that you weren't really that passionate about, but you want to go do something that, you've always wanted to do. Well, if you're set on the retirement side, that, if you can do it financially, then you go start that, you go do that. Doesn't mean you have to just, retirement doesn't mean you just stop living, right?
Yeah. And I think people used to believe that. No, I mean, for me, I don't know what I'm going to do during retirement, but I do know some of the things that I'll do more of.
Right.
So one of them is I work out. I love to work out in the morning. So retirement for me will mean doing 2-a-days, being able to work out twice a day. And then there's this river, a very long river that I haven't fished enough, and I'm going to fish it 1 mile at a time.
There you go.
And fly fishing. I'm a bad fly fisherman, but I'm totally committed to it. But that, to me, that would be retirement. Like just going out fishing, working out twice a day, and doing whatever else in between. Oh yeah, that's heaven.
The flexibility to do that, on your terms. Right?
Yep.
So I know like you've mentioned, you're a business coach. You've had a couple different businesses. You've sold multi-million-dollar companies. As a parting word, what would you share with entrepreneurs about the balancing of planning for their retirement and exit strategies combined with the demands of ownership? Is there any wise wisdom that you could share based off of what you've been through in your careers and businesses you've sold?
As you've already said, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And, think about your critical constraint. This is one of the things that we talk about in business coaching. When we set a goal for a business owner or an executive in a corporation, what's the bottleneck? What's that one thing that's going to hold you back? In many cases, it's maybe you've recognized the need for retirement planning, but your spouse hasn't. Mm-hmm. So that would be job number one. How would you bring up that conversation so that it's respectful to their way of seeing things and it fits with their plan, or at least they understand where you're moving towards? And I think for a lot of people, using the excuse that, oh, my spouse would never go for it is an excuse.
Right.
Right. And so I don't know the answer for everybody. I do know that sometimes it takes my wife and I a long time to get on the same page, mostly because we are running at 1,000,000 miles a minute, and that's going to slow down once my son goes off to college.
Sure.
But you'd think we'd be able to talk more. But perhaps for a lot of people out there, it's finding the way to have that critical conversation with your spouse to make sure you're both on the same page.
100%. Communication's key. It's funny. I love sitting across the desk from somebody or even on Zoom, and you're talking to a couple and you start asking questions, and I love when they start looking at each other and they're waiting for the other one to answer, they're hesitant to say something because maybe they haven't talked about it yet,
Yeah.
And then you start seeing things unfold, as it goes. I mean, at least you get the conversation started there, but I love that because communication is key, not only in relationships in general, but when you're talking about your future, and like we said, retirement looks different for everybody. It may look different for, like you guys, it may look different for the couple and each person in that same relationship, but at least talk about it. Doesn't have to be confrontational. You talk about it, see what comes out in the middle, and there's probably ways to make both parties
make
happy.
Everybody happy. That's right. Yeah.
Because and then you get to retirement, you have more time to make everybody happy. So
yeah, I have a buddy of mine just sold his company, and so he's on the. You're not really unemployed when you sell a company, you're just untethered.
Right.
And so his wife said to him the other day, she goes, Dan, you need more stress in your life. Because he's just around the house too much. And she's like, I think you need more stress in your life. Like you got to go find something to do. And he's like, Dom, I don't know what to do now. Because he sold his company. And it's not that he's doing nothing, but he's doing significantly less. And there's no, he did really well. There's no financial pressure.
Sure.
I got to tell you though, on that point, I've sold I've sold a couple of companies, two of them really nicely, did.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Right.
And I remember on the first one, my wife and I were having dinner afterwards, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a steak tonight. I just sold the company, life's good. And I remember I got the steak and I cut into it, and I was like, oh, it still tastes the same.
Right.
Like nothing changed. Nothing changed in the world around me.
Right.
It tastes this. I still love steak.
Right.
But it wasn't a better steak than any other steak. Life continues to go on, 100%. Even though people would say rung the bell. Life just keeps going on, man. So just find 100%. Something else and, consume your time. Maybe now's the time for you to do service work, mission work, whatever 100%. You like to do, volunteer in the community, right? But to find a way to get that flavor in your life.
It's one of the 6 keys of happiness in retirement is that, as we alluded to earlier, that purpose side of things, right? Filling your time. It's kind of funny. I mean, you think about retirement, and when people get excited about it in the first year or two, you can sit around and do nothing and it might not bother you. But for a lot of people, it will start grinding on you, especially if you've been an active person, especially business owners that have been in the grind, for so long. It doesn't take long to realize you need something to do. Right. And to that guy's point, your wife or your husband may be telling you that you need to go find something to do.
You need some stress in your life. Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Well, Dominic, it's been a pleasure having you on. Folks that are listening, all his information is going to be in the show notes and how to contact him and his podcast and books and all that kind of stuff out there. Dominic, it's been a pleasure having you on. Look forward to talking to you in the future. And to everybody else, here's to aligning your future into a happy retirement.
Thanks for listening to The Priority of Retirement with Shawn Maloney. If you enjoyed the show, check out our reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more free resources to help with your retirement journey, go to retirewisepro.com or check the link in the show notes. You can also download a free copy of Shawn's book, The Priority of Retirement, or reach out to discuss working with him directly at retirewisepro.com. Thanks for listening.
Insurance products offered through the insurance business RetireWise LLC. RetireWise LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by RetireWise LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the insuring carrier. This podcast intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. RetireWise LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RetireWise LLC. Guests of the Priority of Retirement are not affiliated with, nor do they endorse Shawn Maloney or RetireWise LLC.